Yeah, I remember. So with that one, I think it was that they kind of thought he was on their side. He had talked about being, being a big fan of Ayn Rand and shit like that at one point, and he was. It was him, and it was also just that it was very clear he was doing the anti-Marvel kind of superhero movie whenever he started out with Man of Steel and stuff. So I think they were just kind of like in general flock to that as a way to like this is our banner to be against the Marvel shit, the woke Marvel stuff or whatever. And then it became clear that it wasn't going to go be very successful. But I mean, nonetheless, whenever the Justice League movie happened, and then you had a vocal bunch of idiots, started. Well, look, I was one of them. I guess I shouldn't call myself an idiot, but I was all for Snyder Cut. Whenever the Whedon what was it, Justice League sucked, and then I realized pretty quickly what the people were saying involved in that element of the Snyder fandom, like how they were behaving, and I was like, okay, not going to be claiming that anymore. And yeah, they thought that he was their guy to represent their interests and to like show people what fans really want and all this stuff, and it yeah, so they were perfectly fine, and I think that maybe he was kind of their last chance at like latching onto a creator rather than just go with the studios, because I mean the primary thing is for them being against the stuff that they're against. So whatever they need to do in order to do that, to have the most power doing that, they're going to do it. And they thought they could get that with him, and they did for a little while, but then then the infamous moment happened where he basically he just oh man, the look on Ryan Kennel's face. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think I have. No.
Oh my god, when he went on to Geeks and Gamers, Zack Snyder.
Oh shit, no.
Oh
I
my
did not
god,
know that
guys.
happened. Holy shit.
Edger now has not seen the moment. We're gonna have to. All right, holy shit. So yeah, this was a big thing. There, Geeks and Gamers and a lot of those guys, they were part of the whole release the Snyder Cut movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were campaigning for it hard. Like they were all in the camp of that, primarily I think because it was against, in their mind, against Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Against the wokeness and shit, because this guy is a somewhat conservative filmmaker apparently, or that's what he seemed like. He said he was into Ayn Rand, so that just must mean you're a libertarian, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it was so they had this whole thing, and then in 2020 they actually made it happen. What really made it happen was they made enough noise for long enough. They harassed people. There was a lot of harassment going on. There was some really fucking gross shit that was happening on behalf of the Snyder cult, as I call them now.
Mm-hmm.
But what really happened was the pandemic happened, and studios were looking for ways to, for one thing, HBO in particular, or I'm sorry, Warner Brothers in particular, was trying to get people to get HBO Max. And that was the year that HBO Max launched. And one of the ways they decided to do that was to, throw Zack Snyder a couple of $1 million to do some, some tinkering around with whatever he had left to do on the movie that he was making, and let him finish. It's not really the Snyder Cut because it's actually a different kind of movie. He added a bunch of stuff that he wouldn't have added had it been made originally, the way that he was going to.
Sure.
But nonetheless, it got made. Some version of it got made, the Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they released it. Not in theaters or anything, but on HBO Max. And to them, that was their win. They won. They got it. They got it done. And they've been campaigning for this shit for a couple of years. At that point, a few years. And the day that I guess it was announced or was released, maybe I think it was the day it was released on HBO. Zack Snyder was going around on different live streams of people that had been campaigning for it and stuff, and just saying hi, chatting with them for a minute. One of which was Geeks and Gamers, and you had. I mean, just like so many of the Fandom Menace guys were on this stream, and then like there were several streams, satellite streams of that stream of like just different, all in the same orbit, these same people. And what happened was pretty fucking glorious. If you give me a second, I will find that. So another thing that happened right before that, though, right before the release of that was, do you remember the that was in, I think, Orlando, the spa shootings that happened?
Yes. There have been so many of them, it's hard to differentiate, but I believe
there was
so,
this one guy that was going around, and he went to like 2 or 3 different like spas that were, specifically, I think they were Chinese American women or Chinese women working in the spas. and he, killed several Chinese people. And so he comes onto the stream, and they've been waiting for it, and well, this is what happened.
He is the one, the only Zach.
There he is. What's up, man?
Hey guys. Hey guys, how you doing? How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing great.
Just a quick thing before we get started. I know that on our donation page, we still have the Geeks and Gamers logo. I just want to say that I really we talked about this, and we're really not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers as far as I'm concerned, and I really just want to make that clear. And I also want to just say, in light of recent events, I think we really, if Justice League teaches us anything, it's about coming together, and there's no room for hate. And I just think that it's important. It's an important message. And of course, as the father of Asian children, it really hits close to home for me. And I just really want to put that out there, that we all, there's no room for hate, and that's just what it's about.
Absolutely.
So this is a weird one, because I thought there's several different versions of it. I'm realizing that have like different people on the screen at the time, because like I said, there was probably 30 different people streaming it at once, kind of thing. And it was a big moment for them. And then that's how it ended up. But like, if you look at Ryan Kennel's face, for example, he's so fucking upset. Because he's the Geeks and Gamers representative on screen here. Jeremy Griggs also, he hit it a little bit better, but Ryan Kennel could not hide his fucking pain.
Yeah, that was just uncomfortable.
Yeah. Jeremy Griggs had a fucking meltdown. They all did. It was like so many, they were freaking the fuck out. This is actually when Comicsgate split from the Fandom Menace. It's whenever they kind of like stopped calling themselves the Fandom Menace too. Because it just became clear there was a stank on them. Comicsgate split from them because Ethan Van Sciver was basically, these guys all started making excuses, right? There's about why Zack said that. Like, in particular, the one that, like, one of the guys I debated that was he's a writer for geeksandgamers.com, said that, well, it wasn't really about Geeks and Gamers, what he said about the hate thing. He said that was separate. Those were two separate statements that he was making. He just happened to say them basically back to back or some shit. I'm like, no, fuck you, man. That's not what happened. Clearly, what he was doing was tying Geeks and Gamers to, we're not affiliated with them. And the reason is because something, basically the thing is, somebody had gotten in touch with his camp, Zack Snyder's, and told him, I guess, I'm not sure exactly what was said, but he pointed them to something to let them know what Geeks and Gamers was really about. Because obviously Zack Snyder's not watching Geeks and Gamers. Yeah. You know what I mean? As crappy as the movies tend to be, he's still got better shit to do than watch Geeks and Gamers. They were at their peak before this. You're right. I mean, this is really where it all started kind of going downhill. And, that's why I think it's important. We maybe need to watch this back more often and just remind people that, like, they're not anywhere close to what they were. They are diminished greatly. There used to be a very large pool of content creators that generally were associated with the same guys that end up on Friday Night Tights now. It's a much, much smaller group of guys now. And just because various reasons, different people, there was infighting, factional infighting and whatnot, people betraying other people and blah, 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 and as the money pit gets smaller, they as they have to tighten their belts more, the grift dries up a little bit, they're gonna fucking shank each other. And that's what's been happening for quite some time now.
Yeah, no, the infighting has been a little bit cathartic whenever it happens, here and there. Definitely weird to see some of the sides that have been taken, but no, I don't know. I guess, like, I do kind of hope that a couple of people that are involved in this sort of thing, like, learn a bit of a lesson from it, from the weird hero worship and stuff that they attribute to all these different people, whether it's Zack Snyder or some like YouTube creator or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I can hope that at least a few people are starting to gather that. But I've definitely noticed with the Acolyte coming out, with Doctor Who, with a couple of things, that where the YouTube space used to be almost entirely dominated by just like deranged people.
Yeah.
There are spheres now coming up of people having genuine conversations. Not like mindlessly circle jerking this TV show, because I find that sort of like it's fine if that's the conversation people want to have.
We don't want to do that either, despite what Chud
like,
accuse us of. It's not what we do. You know, it's And by the way, see up at the top of the screen there, Be the Revolution. That's me kind of co-opting DJ's thing that he's been saying, and you know, just as far as like, this is an algorithmic battle that's happening, and like, yeah, things have gotten a lot better, but these guys still have a foothold. You know, if you go open an incognito window and search for the Acolyte, guess what you're going to find an abundance of before you find anything more reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Because they know how to game the algorithm, because they crank out the you know, copy paste content, and it's sad, it's a grift, but like, the way to revolutionize the algorithm is to, and you know, I don't love saying this stuff, I hate being repeating myself, but like, you do need to like and subscribe and comment and share and stuff like that. And I'm not just saying that for me, I'm saying that for Edgier Than Now, I'm saying that for anybody that you like, that you watch, you need to do that. And it's just try to get in the habit of it. I know it's easy to forget, and you watch a video and you got other shit to do. I don't know, put a post-it note on your monitor or something like that, and just try to remember to do that, because that's the way that we are gonna continue pushing them down, you know, pushing back against this shit. And they're never gonna go away fully, you know, I doubt, unless there's just like some actual real strict terms of service enforcement that happens.
There's going to be a virus actually that unfortunately only affects members of these communities.
I mean, it's kind of happened. It was COVID.
It's not going to kill anyone, but
I mean, COVID affects everybody, but like, man, people, it only affects idiots that don't want to take a vaccine, for sure. Anyway, I have another version of that.
The leader of this movement, the figurehead of this movement, he is the one, the only.
Hey guys, how you doing? How's everybody doing?
Good.
Just a quick thing before we get started.
is he gonna come up?
I just want to say that we're really not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers as far as I'm concerned, and I really just want to make that clear. And I also want to just say, you know, in light of recent events, I think we really, you know, if Justice League teaches us anything, it's about coming together, and there's no room for hate. And I just think that it's important. It's an important message, and of course, it's, you know, as the father of Asian children, it really hits close to home for me. And I just really want to put that out there, that we all, you know, there's no room for hate.
Stop you from killing Chinese people. And to me, no, he'll never stop me from killing Chinese people, ever. I don't care how many movies he makes.
We haven't killed enough.
Give me a Tommy gun and line him up against the wall, as the great Stan Lee once said.
I'm an adult man, by the way.
Yep, totally. Yeah, and then just to show you the desperation, that like the way these guys will twist fucking anything. Let me show you this debate moment that I had with this guy. So this was a guy that he's a writer for geeksandgamers.com. I was criticizing his article on stream one time, and I had never planned to do any debates or anything. I just didn't think it was going to be worth it, or I would be very good at it even. And this guy just showed up in chat, and he's like, and I was like, hey man, why don't you just come on and let's talk about this article that you made. And we got to this moment, like I hadn't even thought about the Zack Snyder thing in context, or that he was with Geeks and Gamers. That element hadn't entered my mind, and this was much more recently after that had happened too. And then you know, this happened basically.
A lot of people clash with Jeremy over a lot of fucking things, so it's not an echo chamber like against what a lot of people believe, because we fight constantly about like movies, games, and what we think is the best. And Zack Snyder's movies are one of them. There's a big division in G&G. Like a lot of people love these movies. Jeremy fucking hates them. So
we need. There's a big elephant in the room with that, though, isn't there? There's a big ass elephant in the room when it comes to Zack Snyder and Geeks and Gamers.
You know, we're really not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers as far as I'm concerned. And I
So
really just want to
crushing,
make that
man.
clear.
Mr. Brightside, yeah.
Yeah, that
if Justice League teaches us anything, it's about coming together, and there's no room for hate. Founder of the Hate Network, there's no room for hate.
Anyway, yeah, that guy went on to be like, yeah, to trying to say that there was just two separate statements, and that they and then he said, oh, the studio, they told him he had to say that. And I said, the studio told him that he had to cry about his Asian children? You know, because like his voice.
That's the cop out, though, right?
Yeah, like did he? Because he said he had to. Everybody that was talking about the movie had to say that, and it's like, okay, so they all had to talk. They had to cry and talk about Zack Snyder's Asian children. Everybody that talked about the movie. Gotcha. What's up, Chariot? How's it going? Something interesting is that the chud pandering creators talk about these films and shows as if they're thinking critically, and those who disagree are just uncritical. When the reality is that their criticism is mostly shadowboxing Hollywood generally, and being themselves cultural Philistines, uninterested in deeper meaning. Yeah, I mean, that's probably this frustrating thing underlying any engagement with these guys, is like just knowing that they start the conversation with that kind of premise front loaded in people's minds, and it's like you're constantly fighting against that, right? That somehow, oh, actually I'm the one that's not thinking critically, and you know, it's like it is very frustrating.
No, I got so many. I get comments like that when I talk about like the actors or whatever, and why it's unfair to shit on the actors for this, that, or the other thing. I get people like, "Oh, the show's still ass, though." I'm like, "Okay, and I don't care." And your point being, like, no one was talking about that. Oh no, yeah, that was fucking funny. The the leader of this movement, and then
he's our god, and then 5 seconds later, no, get that fucking guy out of here. But no, the reason that them, and then like Comicsgate, Ethan Van Sciver split at that point is because they were all buddies and shit. And so with them though, they started making excuses and trying to rewrite the narrative that everybody saw didn't see what they saw actually happen, right? Anybody with any sense knows what he was saying. He was very clear about it. And then they're trying to make excuses, blah blah blah. And it's like, and Ethan was pissed off because in his mind they should have just said fuck that, fuck Hollywood. You know, of course they did generally, but like they still, and he's kind of right. Ethan has said that if Zack Snyder called Jeremy Griggs up right now and was like, hey, I want to come on stream and chat with you, Jeremy would be like, okay, yeah, and he'd let them, you know, like they're still open to being, if Hollywood wanted to be friendly with them, then they'd be friendly with Hollywood. When Ethan, he's like a true believer in his mind, and he's just like, fuck them. And it just became a whole rift. One of the big ones that started off a lot of smaller rifts that followed. And from there you had like, you know, a bunch of little schisms and stuff. And then, you know, I guess more recently on the comics side of things, you had the Rippaverse splitting from Comicsgate, which actually did have a pretty big rift effect on the Fandom Menace guys too. So that's all fun, and hopefully they just keep fragmenting until they, you know, have no social power whatsoever. There's just a couple of sad guys screaming in the corner about wokeness or whatever. Anyways, subscribe to Edgier Than Now. Linked in the description.